Assalamu alaikum, friends. In this video, we'll delve into the intricate details of the Prophet Muhammad's sallallahu alaihi wasallam physical appearance, as described by his closest companions. Close your eyes and let your heart paint a picture. As I describe the Prophet Muhammad's sallallahu alaihi wasallam radiant beauty, imagine every detail, every nuance, as if you were witnessing it firsthand. The Prophet's face. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is described in the books of description from head to toe. And one of the ways that he's frequently described is as being more beautiful than the moon. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's face was fair, attractive, and more radiant, more beautiful than the full moon on the darkest night. And when you think of the deserts and how amazing and awesome and awe-inspiring the full moon looks in the desert, and you think about this narration of Anas Radiya ta'ala anhu, where he says that there was one night that I actually wanted to compare. I looked at the full moon and then I looked at the face of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I asked myself, which one is more radiant? And I came to the realization that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam face was more radiant, was more beautiful than the full moon in the desert. But it would turn crimson when he was angry. If sweat appeared on his face, the beads glistened like pearls, and the fragrance of his perspiration excelled the smell of musk. He would sweat perfumes, Sahaba says, and if you shook the hand of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you would maintain the scent of his hand on your hand for days after meeting him. The most famous thing about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was his smile. He always smiled in sadness and in happiness. He smiled in all situations that give a sense of pleasure. So everything was perfectly balanced with Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He wasn't too tall, nor was he too short. His skin was not too light, nor was it too dark. He had a bright skin color, but at the same time, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was not pasty white. His face was not too round, nor was it too narrow, but it was closer to being round. Now, if you're looking at the Prophet of Allah, I want you to imagine standing in front of him. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to connect with his eyes. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam eyes had a perfect contrast. The black was exceedingly black and the white was exceedingly white. His eyelashes were so long that it looked like they naturally had kohol. They naturally had an eyeliner on them, and they were always moist from his tears. He had these large curved eyebrows and they were full, and they almost connected. But there was a beautiful space right between them where the light would shine. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is described as having a prominent forehead, and in his forehead there was a vein that would only show when he became upset. As for his nose, it was not flat, nor was it too pointy. But the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam had a finely sloped nose. The bridge of the Prophet's nose was high and shiny. When Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam opened his mouth, you would notice his teeth and they were perfectly set. Remember, he used to use the siwak at least 5 times a day. So his teeth were described as white as hailstones, and they were set in a way that there was a fine line between each of those teeth, and his mouth was wide, and he is described as having a perfect articulation. Hair of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. His hair was slightly curly, and he wore it parted in the middle. Sometimes he kept his hair so long it touched both his shoulders, while at other times it fell just above his earlobes. And of course, in times of Hajj and Umrah, he would shave his head. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam also had a dense, full beard. He used to comb his hair, and he used to comb his beard, and they were fully black, and Sahaba counted just between 14 to 20 gray hairs in his hair and his beard at the time of his death. So he was 63, but he only had a few gray hairs on his head and his beard. And they said when he would use oil, you couldn't even see those gray hair. And when you could see them, they were concentrated right under his lips and on his side locks. Neck and limbs of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He had an elegant, long neck. He was big-boned with large elbows, shoulders, knees, and wrists. His palms and feet were wide. His arms were heavy. He had large calves, and his calves were perfectly round, and then he had absolutely no weight on his heels. And his lower body was so strong that he used to be able to jump on a horse and a camel and mountain with absolutely no saddle because of the strength of his lower body. Subhanallah. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was not hairy man. He did not have much hair on the rest of his body, and he had a little bit of hair on his chest and a line that naturally ran down all the way to his navel. Build and stature. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was of a medium build, being neither fat nor thin. He had a straight body. Although he was not particularly very tall, but he rose above most men in height. This was one of his miracles. His hands and his feet were smoother than silk, and water would slither right off the hands and feet of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He never seemed to tire when he walked, and nobody could keep pace with him. Abu Huraira radiallahu anhu says, "I have never seen anyone who walked as quickly as the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It looked as if the earth rolled itself up for him when he walked. We would tire ourselves out walking with him, while he would move on with ease." Character of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet usually seemed cheerful, and he liked to smile. Even when the others were rude to him, he was never harsh and rude. He never raised his voice in the marketplace. As we have seen over the course of the events in his life, the Prophet was generous, brave, strong, and extraordinarily patient. Never vulgar or obscene, his dislike of something was apparent on his face. He never stared directly at anyone, nor did he ever glare at anyone in displeasure. He never rebuked his servant, nor was he ever heard saying something about anyone. May his beauty, both inner and outer, guide us towards a more compassionate, righteous, and fulfilling life. Remember, it is through our actions and intentions that we truly honor his memory. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more insightful content. Like this video if you found it inspiring, and please leave a comment below which salawat or durood you recite daily. Thanks for watching.